My mother-in-law wore a white gown to my wedding and tried to walk down the aisle with my husband, so I played a recording of her ranting about him during the father-daughter dance. Jessica Fitzgerald wore a white beaded gown to my wedding and tried to walk down the aisle arm in arm with her son during the processional. I stood at the altar in my ivory dress watching my future mother-in-law attempt to hijack my wedding march. The photographer stopped shooting. My bridesmaids froze halfway down the aisle. Mason grabbed his mother's arm. "Mom, what are you doing?" "Supporting my son on his special day," Jessica announced to the entire church. Her white dress sparkled under the sanctuary lights. The organist kept playing. Nobody moved. Jessica smiled at the 200 guests like this was normal. My maid of honor whispered loud enough for the front 3 rows to hear. "Is she wearing white to someone else's wedding?" Mason's face went red. "Mom, please sit down." "I'm just so proud." Jessica dabbed her eyes with a lace handkerchief. "My baby boy is getting married." She was 58 years old. Her baby boy was 31. This was the 3rd incident in 2 weeks. Jessica had accidentally booked the same venue for her anniversary party the same weekend as our wedding. The venue manager called me Tuesday morning saying there was a double booking issue and maybe we should consider rescheduling. I called Jessica directly. "There's a problem with the venue." "Oh no, what kind of problem?" Her voice was sugar sweet. "You booked your anniversary party for the same night as our wedding." "Did I? How silly of me." "Well, we already sent invitations." "Jessica, our wedding was booked 8 months ago. I'm sure we can work something out." The venue manager sided with us after I showed him our contract. Jessica's party got moved to the hotel ballroom down the street. Then she demanded to approve my wedding dress, claiming family tradition. I was at the bridal shop with my mom and sister for my final fitting when Jessica showed up unannounced. The shop owner looked confused as Jessica waltzed in wearing a navy pantsuit and pearls. "I need to see the dress," Jessica announced. My mom stood up from the waiting area chair. "Excuse me? It's a Fitzgerald family tradition. The mother of the groom approves all wedding dresses." My sister laughed. "That's not a real thing." "It absolutely is. Mason's father's mother approved my dress in 1987. I came out of the dressing room in my fitted lace gown. Jessica's face scrunched up like she'd tasted something sour. "It's very revealing," she said. The dress had a modest neckline and 3/4 sleeves. "It's beautiful," my mom said firmly. "The lace is cheap-looking." Jessica walked around me in a circle. "And this train is excessive, very attention-seeking." The shop owner cleared her throat. "The dress is $3,200. The lace is French Chantilly." "I think we should look at something more conservative," Jessica continued. "Maybe ivory instead of white, since this isn't exactly a first wedding." "It was my first wedding." "It was Mason's first wedding." "What does that mean?" my sister asked. "Well, they've been living together for 2 years. Hardly traditional." I changed back into my clothes and left. My mom paid the final balance while I waited in the car. The 3rd incident happened during the rehearsal dinner. Jessica secretly contacted our caterer trying to change the menu selections from Italian to something more sophisticated. The caterer called me Friday morning, 16 hours before the wedding. "Mrs. Fitzgerald called about switching to a French menu," the caterer said. "She said you approved the change." "I didn't approve anything." She was very insistent, said the Italian food was too casual for a Fitzgerald family wedding. "Keep the Italian menu. Mrs. Fitzgerald isn't paying for it." She said she was taking over the catering bill. "She's not authorized to make any changes." At the rehearsal dinner that night, Jessica cornered me by the dessert table. "I heard you rejected my catering suggestions," she said. "You had no right to call them." "I was trying to help. Italian food is so common. It's what Mason and I wanted." "Mason has never liked Italian food." Mason appeared beside us holding 2 plates of pasta. "The lasagna is incredible," he said. Jessica's smile tightened. "How nice." Now she was standing in my wedding aisle wearing white and refusing to sit down. The father-daughter dance was supposed to happen right after dinner. My dad had practiced his steps for weeks. He'd taken actual dance lessons at the community center because he wanted everything perfect. Jessica spent the entire cocktail hour cornering my relatives. I watched her trap my cousin Sarah by the bar. "Ella seems lovely," Sarah said politely. "Oh, she's fine," Jessica replied, "but I worry she trapped Mason. He could do so much better." My Aunt Linda overheard. "That's a terrible thing to say." "I'm just being honest. She's after his money." Mason worked in marketing and made $90,000 a year. I worked in accounting and made the same. Neither of us was rich. During dinner, Jessica moved from table to table like she was campaigning. At my college friend's table, she leaned in conspiratorially. "This marriage won't last a year. Mason's too young to settle down." My friend Rebecca texted me under the table, "Your MIL is nuts." At my work colleague's table, Jessica shook her head sadly. My boss looked uncomfortable. "Ella's a wonderful person." "Oh, I'm sure she has her qualities." The DJ announced the father-daughter dance. My dad walked over and extended his hand. The opening notes of "My Girl" filled the room. We'd made it exactly 30 seconds into the song when Jessica's voice carried across the entire reception hall. I just think she's completely wrong for him, Jessica announced loudly to a table of Mason's college friends. She's going to ruin the family name. My dad stopped dancing. The music kept playing, but everyone turned to look. Did she just say that during the father-daughter dance? My dad whispered. Jessica kept going, her voice rising. Mark my words, this is a disaster waiting to happen. The DJ looked at me questioningly. I nodded and he faded the music. I walked over to the DJ booth and pulled out my phone. Brandon Reynolds had been filming weddings for 12 years. He knew when something was about to go nuclear. You recording audio through the whole reception? I asked him. Every word. Professional equipment picks up conversations from 50 feet away. Brandon was positioned near the dessert table with a perfect view of Jessica's table-hopping campaign. His camera had been rolling for 3 hours straight. I need a favor, I said. Lady, after what I just witnessed, anything you want. I pulled out my phone and opened the voice memo app. I've been recording her rants for months. Brandon's eyes widened. How many? 47 recordings over 3 years and 10 months. Every family dinner, every phone call, every time she cornered me at Mason's apartment. I scrolled through the files. Jessica telling her sister I was trailer trash trying to social climb. Jessica explaining to Mason's grandmother that I was probably infertile anyway. Jessica coaching Mason's cousin about better options at his law firm. My therapist says these caused $391,828 worth of emotional damage. That's $8,518 per month in therapy bills to deal with her psychological abuse. Brandon whistled low. And tonight? She doesn't know the microphone system stays live during cocktail hour. Everything she said at those tables got recorded through the venue's PA system. Jessica was currently at the bar ordering her 4th glass of wine. She'd spent 45 minutes systematically destroying my reputation to anyone who'd listen. What exactly are you thinking? Brandon asked. I showed him my phone. Your equipment can patch into the DJ's sound system? Standard setup. I run audio for the wedding video through their speakers all the time. How long would it take to play a compilation? Brandon grinned. Give me 15 minutes to edit the highlights. Jessica had moved on to my grandmother's table. I watched her lean in close, gesturing dramatically with her wine glass. She doesn't deserve him. Jessica's voice carried across the room. I raised my son better than this. My grandmother, who was 87 and had zero patience for nonsense, stood up and walked away mid-sentence. Mason appeared beside the DJ booth looking mortified. Ella, I'm so sorry. She's drunk. She's been saying this stuff for months, Mason. Tonight she's just loud about it. I'll talk to her. Don't. I've got it handled. Brandon was already transferring files from my phone to his laptop. These recordings are crystal clear. Professional quality microphones make all the difference. Jessica cornered my boss again, this time at the dessert table. Between you and me, I think she got pregnant on purpose. Classic trap move. I wasn't pregnant. We'd been married for exactly 4 hours. She's got some serious issues, Brandon muttered, adjusting his headphones. You want the whole compilation, or just tonight's greatest hits? Both. Start with the old recordings. Build up to tonight. Evil. I like it. The DJ announced last call for dinner. Guests were finishing their entrees and preparing for the evening festivities. Jessica had positioned herself near the gift table, intercepting my relatives as they dropped off cards and presents. Such a shame, she told my Uncle Frank. Mason had a full scholarship to law school but gave it up for her. Mason had never applied to law school. He'd been in marketing since college graduation. Ma'am, that doesn't sound right, Uncle Frank said. Oh, you don't know the whole story. Brandon handed me his headphones. Listen to this. The compilation started with Jessica's voice from 2 months ago. She's completely beneath our family's standards. Then last month, I've hired a private investigator to look into her background. Then 3 weeks ago, if this wedding happens, I'm cutting Mason out of the will. How many people need to hear this? Brandon asked. Everyone. Jessica was now telling the flower girl's parents that I had obvious mental health issues, and Mason was too kind-hearted to see the red flags. The flower girl was 6 years old. Your mother-in-law is something else, Brandon said. She's about to be something else entirely. Everything was ready. The DJ finished his announcement about the cake cutting. Perfect timing. I nodded to Brandon. Kill the music. The speakers went silent. 200 guests turned toward the DJ booth, expecting some announcement about dancing or bouquet toss. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon's voice came through the microphone system. Before we continue tonight's celebration, the bride has a special presentation. Jessica looked up from the gift table where she'd been cornering my cousin about my obvious gold-digging tendencies. Brandon hit play. Jessica's voice filled the reception hall through every speaker. Crystal clear audio from 2 months ago. She's completely beneath our family's standards. Mason could have married a doctor or a lawyer, but instead he's settling for some basic accountant. Guests started looking around confused. Jessica's face went white. The recording continued. I've hired a private investigator to look into her background. I'm sure we'll find something useful. Mason stood up from the head table. What the hell? Brandon seamlessly transitioned to last month's recording. Jessica's voice again. If this wedding happens, I'm cutting Mason out of the will. Maybe financial pressure will bring him to his senses. People were pulling out their phones. Jessica started walking toward the DJ booth, her white dress swishing as she moved. Turn that off right now, she hissed. The next recording started playing. 3 weeks ago. She's obviously mentally unstable. I've researched the signs. Mason's too kind-hearted to see the red flags, but I won't let her destroy our family. My grandmother started clapping slowly from her table. Other guests joined in. Jessica reached us. This is illegal. You can't record private conversations. Actually, Brandon said calmly, these were recorded during family gatherings on private property with consent from one party. Totally legal. The compilation shifted to tonight's material. Jessica's voice from 20 minutes ago. She doesn't deserve him. I raised my son better than this. Then her conversation with my boss. Between you and me, I think she got pregnant on purpose. Classic trap move. Mason's face was red. He walked over to his mother. Mom, what is wrong with you? It's taken out of context, Jessica stammered. The recording played her, telling my relatives, this marriage won't last a year. She's after his money. Then her voice explaining to Mason's college friends. She trapped him. He could do so much better. Brandon let that one hang in the air for 5 seconds before the final recording started. Jessica from earlier tonight, talking to the flower girl's parents. She has obvious mental health issues. Mason's too kind-hearted to see it, but I won't let her ruin his life. The room was dead silent. Brandon leaned into the microphone. That concludes our special presentation from the mother of the groom. Jessica ran out of the reception hall in her white dress, crying. Mason stood in the middle of the reception hall staring at the door his mother had just run through. His bow tie hung loose around his neck. I'm so sorry, he said to the room. I had no idea she was saying those things. My dad walked over and put his hand on Mason's shoulder. Son, you're not responsible for her behavior. Uncle Frank raised his wine glass. To Ella and Mason, may your marriage be stronger than the crazy family members who try to tear it down. The whole room erupted in applause and laughter. People started clinking glasses and calling out, here, here. Brandon packed up his equipment. Best wedding I've ever filmed. This footage is going in my portfolio. Mason's dad appeared beside us, looking embarrassed. Ella, I owe you an apology. I've been enabling her behavior for years. Where is she now? Crying in the parking lot. David's dealing with it. Through the window, I could see Jessica's white dress glowing under the streetlights. Her brother David was standing next to their car, gesturing with his hands. The DJ started the music back up. Let's get this party going again. My bridesmaids surrounded me. Girl, that was savage, my maid of honor said. She had it coming. Mason walked over. How long has she been saying those things? 3 years and 10 months. Since the day you introduced me. His face crumpled. Why didn't you tell me? I did tell you. You said she just needed time to warm up to me. I thought it was normal mother-in-law stuff. Normal mothers-in-law don't hire private investigators. The cake cutting went perfectly. No more interruptions. Jessica's absence made everything lighter. During the bouquet toss, my cousin Sarah caught it and announced, I'm screening all future mother-in-laws first. The reception ended at 11:47 p.m. Jessica never came back inside. 3 days into our honeymoon in Maui, Mason's phone started buzzing with family drama. Jessica had been uninvited from his cousin's graduation party. The recording had spread through the family group chat. His aunt Linda called. That woman is poison. We had no idea. Mason's grandmother sent a text. Your wife has more class than your mother ever will. David called on day 4. Jessica's been cut off from the family credit cards. Her behavior at your wedding was the last straw. When we got back home, Mason's dad had moved into the guest room. Jessica was seeing a therapist twice a week. She sent me a handwritten letter. I realized my behavior was inappropriate. I hope we can start over. I never responded. The country club where Jessica played tennis 3 times a week asked her to take a temporary break. Too many members had seen the wedding footage on social media. Mason's college friends started a group chat without her called Team Ella. 6 months later, Mason's dad filed for legal separation. 35 years of marriage. But I can't defend what she did to you. Jessica tried calling Mason every day for 2 weeks. He stopped answering. She showed up at our apartment once. I watched through the peephole as she stood outside crying for 20 minutes. Mason refused to open the door. His therapist said setting boundaries was healthy. Your mother's behavior was emotionally abusive. Taking space is necessary. Jessica's sister called me directly. She's been in therapy for 4 months, says she wants to apologize properly. She can apologize when she's actually changed. How will you know if she's changed? When she stops making everything about herself. Last month, Jessica sent Mason a birthday card. Inside, she'd written, I understand if you can't forgive me yet. I'm working on being better. Mason put it in a drawer without responding. His dad started dating his physical therapist, a woman named Carol, who thinks I'm wonderful. Your mother-in-law sounds exhausting, Carol said over dinner. You handled it perfectly. Brandon sent us the wedding video 6 weeks later. He'd edited out most of Jessica's scene but left in the applause afterward. Some stories need happy endings, he said. The video went semi-viral on TikTok. 47,000 views with comments like queen behavior and mother-in-law from hell got what she deserved. Jessica's book club saw it. She stopped attending meetings. Mason and I celebrated our first anniversary at the same venue. This time, Jessica wasn't invited. His dad and Carol came. Mason's grandmother flew in from Phoenix. My whole family was there. Much better energy this year, my dad said during his toast. Last I heard, Jessica was still in therapy and hadn't spoken to Mason in 6 months.